Brad, it is an absolute honor to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure, Helena. Thanks for having me on.
When I think of you, I honestly think of the king of tapping. I don't know if anyone said that to you before, but that's how I
I
view
think someone
you.
else uses that title, but thank you.
Your work, honestly, has had such a ripple effect in the world and makes such a difference in people's lives. I'm sure you know that on some level, but I'm sure the ripple effect goes far beyond what you can witness. Even within my own family, people have been watching your videos for years. Like my brother used your videos for anxiety during college. Like people in all corners of the world are tuning in and watching you tap. And I just want to thank you for making that contribution.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm blessed to get to do what I do.
Yeah. Take me back. Before we even dive into some deeper questions, there are some people who are listening who still don't really understand what tapping is, who might think that we're talking about dance shoes.
Yes.
I'm also an emotional freedom technique practitioner, so it's
Oh,
something I
excellent.
use. I use that with my clients on a daily basis. But for those who don't know about EFT, also known as tapping, how would you best describe it?
Yeah, thank you. And it's awesome that you're using it. To me, every coach ought to incorporate
Yeah.
it into their work because people resist change. They come to coaches to create change, but we have resistance, and that resistance comes up as stress in our bodies. And
Yeah.
tapping, we call it tapping because we're literally tapping on these points on the body, calms down that stress response, which gives us greater freedom to succeed.
Yeah.
So, a huge item in your toolbox for any coach. The catchphrase that people have often used, it's emotional acupuncture without the needles. For thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through the body along these pathways that are called meridians that run up and down the body. And when that energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and being, physically and emotionally. When that energy gets stuck or disrupted in some way, we don't feel so good. We don't think as clearly, we don't make the best choices, and that has all kinds of unfortunate consequences. So, in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor would stick needles in these key points, and we're stimulating those points just by tapping. So, EFT, it's often referred to as EFT emotional freedom techniques, is one of the main modalities for using the tapping, but a lot of us just call it tapping now because there are a lot of different points that are used in different ways of using the tapping. But basically, it's calming down the stress response. And even though it's based on a process that's been used for thousands of years very successfully in Chinese medicine, we also have a growing body of modern research showing that it is a profound tool for reducing stress. And when you consider that most, if not all, of the issues that bother us, physically as well as emotionally, are either caused by or worsened by stress, then you can
Mm.
see that having a simple stress relief technique is profound in all kinds of areas of our lives.
Yeah, the body holds on to so much emotion and stress just on a daily basis in today's world. And so the way I like to think of tapping is like you're just releasing that stored or that trapped energy and
Yeah.
letting it go, which
Yeah.
is why, I mean, I'm sure you experience this so often. Like people have various responses while tapping. Yawning is a release.
Most common one, yeah.
Burping, crying. I'm certainly a crier when I'm tapping. That's your sign that it's actually shifting and moving.
Yeah, absolutely. We're carrying around, if nothing else, just ambient levels of stress that we're not aware of. Particularly because most of us are walking around with a little device that's constantly saying, "Hey, did you hear about this? Here's something to be upset about." And we
Yeah.
take it on and just little things, and we just go, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine." But all that stress, it raises cortisol in our bodies, one of
Yeah.
the stress hormones, which affects our immune system, it affects our digestive system, has all kinds of unfortunate consequences. The more stress we feel, the less engaged we are with our prefrontal cortex, where we make our best choices. Every little bit of stress we have is limiting our ability to be healthy, wealthy, and happy.
Yeah.
So we want to be clearing that out. And most people don't have a healthy way of getting rid of stress. They
Mm.
have physical hygiene, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. Most people do that on a daily basis. They don't wait until people are holding their nose around them and go, "That's right, I haven't taken a shower in a week. I should probably do that." We have a healthy physical maintenance, hygiene maintenance, but most of us don't have energetic hygiene or emotional hygiene. So I always recommend folks at least a little bit of tapping each day to down regulate that stress.
Yeah. And it's literally at your fingertips. It's
Yeah.
something that people can do by themselves, which I always like to remind my clients of. This is something you don't need to rely on me for. You can go and do this yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, we can record things and people can follow along. How would you, though, how would you explain, again, to somebody who's quite new to this, the aspect of saying out loud what you're thinking or what you're feeling? How would you explain that key part of tapping? Because we're not just physically tapping on the body.
Right. And we can, because the
Mm.
tapping by itself, if you're in a situation where you can't say anything, and there are fingertip points that you can tap so that you can do it subtly down under the table and no one knows that you're tapping. So just the process of tapping is great for lowering our stress. So if you're in a
Mm.
situation, because in those situations, our body already knows what's going on. It's like, I'm aware of the stress, now let's downregulate it. Where the wording comes in most effectively is when we're dealing with, like in a coaching session, where we're talking about something that may not be right there in the moment.
Mm.
So we want to be bringing up those things that, we have buttons that get pushed in certain situations. But if I'm sitting here talking to you in a coaching session, I may not be feeling those buttons. They're just waiting to be pushed, but they might not be in that moment. So the wording helps us to get in touch with that and tune into where we have those issues, to bring up those uncomfortable memories. And then we bring that up in the energy system, and then we tap through and clear that energetic response so that we can look back at those uncomfortable situations and say, oh, that was just a misunderstanding about that. Because as the Stoics say, it's not what happens to us, it's our thoughts about what happens that bothers us. So when we can look at an upsetting situation, oh, there was that time that this person said something to me and it really affected me. And every time I think about it, I have an emotional response. Every time I'm in a situation that might be even remotely similar, I might have that response. And maybe at a subtle level that I'm not aware of. I'm not suddenly thinking, oh my goodness, this totally reminds me of that thing that happened to me in the fifth grade. But there's a part of me that's feeling stress. And that's limiting my ability to be fully present and as successful in that moment as I can be. In the coaching process, we bring that up. And like when folks are tapping along in my videos, they'll often say, can I do it silently? You can, but there's something about saying it out loud. And the more emphatic we are, the more emotionally engaged we are.
Yeah.
And so the tapping, even if you're doing silently, even if you're not saying any words at all, will be beneficial. But in terms of focusing on a particular issue, if we can get ourselves more emotionally engaged in it, then the tapping tends to be more effective.
Yeah, I totally agree. And something that I do really love is when you're expressing, let's say you are talking about a limiting belief or a situation that created a limiting belief. I love the way in tapping that you don't make that situation or belief right or wrong. You just are expressing it. And I feel like there's something so empowering and neutralizing about that tapping really helps people because some people might say, oh, am I not affirming this belief? Because you're talking about the belief, but actually it's no, we're just releasing it. We're just letting it go because we're not putting this emphasis on it being wrong or right.
Yeah, it's a very compassionate process.
Yeah.
And it's one of the expressions I often use while I'm tapping with folks is I'll say, I had this belief or whatever. And it's not because I'm bad or stupid. It's not because I'm weak or lazy. It's just
Mm.
that I have programming that tells me this. I had a misunderstanding about a situation. Someone said this to me. I thought they were saying something else. And now I'm letting that control me because it caused some pain. My misinterpretation of what happened caused me some pain, and now I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to avoid that pain, even if it blocks me from all kinds of really cool opportunities for health, wealth, or happiness. But it's, and I always say that self-sabotage is simply misguided self-love. Rather than beating ourselves up for the beliefs and the behaviors that we have, recognizing, okay, I am doing this to protect myself, and I want to look at it if it's a misunderstanding. And yeah, when we first show EFT to a lot of folks, so we say, even though I'm angry about this, and they'll say, no, wait, you can't talk about the anger. Always think positive, talk positive. It's
Yeah.
But what you resist persists. If you
Yes.
break your leg, you don't go to the doctor and say, "Let's talk about my arm. My arm feels so good." Don't talk about a leg. No, that's negative. It's no, you got to address what's there.
Yeah.
And we're kidding ourselves if we don't. Another analogy I use is if you have a beautiful apartment, a beautiful living room with a beautiful white carpet, and you have a beautiful dog that leaves a not so beautiful present on your carpet, you're not going to say, "No, I'm going to focus on where my carpet is clean."
Mm.
Because one,
Mhm.
you're kidding yourself, because part of your brain is very much stuck in focusing on the mess.
Yeah.
And if you ignore it, you're going to step in and spread it around. It's not a matter of sitting down on the couch and going, "Oh, my dog pooped on my carpet." It's not a matter of just going over and just dwelling in that. It's a matter of saying, "Oh, here it is. Now I'm going to clean it up." And as we tap while we look at those things, again, as you said, it's not right or wrong. It's not judging it. It's just getting curious about it and looking at, okay, what's going on for me about this? What can I do to clean this up?
Mm.
And then I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And for somebody, I know somebody can definitely go 100% to your YouTube channel and find probably the exact video that they need in that moment.
Or something close anyway.
At least something close. But for those that don't yet know what the limiting belief is, maybe they just know the feeling that they're currently having, or that they're not taking action, or that they're stuck. For somebody who can't pinpoint what it is that they need to necessarily be tapping on, how could they get started?
Yeah. So whenever I ask folks, I'll have folks close their eyes, take a deep breath, and just check in and think about what they want to change and
Mm.
what action they could take to do that. And I'll say, follow your breath through your body and just notice where you might feel some discomfort. And so they might feel a tightness in their chest or in their shoulders or a queasiness in the stomach. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the limiting belief is. But so, for instance, with money. So let's just go ahead and do this. Everybody, close your eyes, take a deep breath in and hold it, and let it go. And now just breathing comfortably with your eyes closed, just allowing yourself to be right here, right now, as present as possible. Just follow your breath through your body. Notice what's going on in there. Notice how you feel physically and how you feel emotionally. And now think about the amount of money that you would like to have. You can imagine that in terms of if it means living somewhere else, living in a different house. For some people, it may be, "Oh, I want to have a sports car," or this. It may be just looking at your online bank statement and seeing the amount of money you'd like to see there. And just notice now, pay attention again to your breathing and to how you feel physically and how you feel emotionally. You may notice parts of you that are excited, but also notice those parts of you that feel uncomfortable. Say, as you imagine having this money, say, "It's safe for me to have this much money." And let that rattle around inside. And notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how true that is. And I know that some of you are going to want to say, "Oh, it's a 10 plus." And if you don't have that amount of money or are not at least obviously moving in that direction in an obvious successful way, I'm going to say check again. Because the extent to which we do not have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we are resisting it. And the main reason we resist things is because some part of our mind says it's not safe. So just notice how you feel. Now allow yourself to be aware of any thoughts, beliefs, or memories that might come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't have this much money. But to your question, Helen, if you're not aware of the reason, that's fine. Just allow yourself to be aware of, okay, I don't know why I have this belief. I don't know why I have money resistance, yeah, but I feel a tightness in my chest,
Mm.
or I get a kind of a buzzing feeling in my shoulder. It just whatever it might be. And folks can go ahead and take a deep breath, open your eyes. And then we can tap on, if we have a belief like money is the root of all evil, and I don't want to be evil. So we can tap on, even though I was convinced money is the root of all evil. But if we're not aware of the belief, we just have this, I just get this tightness in my chest or this feeling in my stomach, then we just tap on that. even though I have this tightness in my chest. Whatever experience is coming up that signals, okay, there's some kind of block there. So we can
Yeah.
work with whatever is showing up. And if someone says, I'm not feeling a tightness, it's okay. What could you do today that would move you in the direction of having that much money? Is it asking for a raise? Is it writing a book? Is it launching a website? Is it speaking to somebody about a job opportunity? Whatever it might be, think of the action. And when you think about that action, then say, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how committed are you? It's two. I did this with someone once, this money thing. They said, I've gone to all the seminars, I've read all the books. I'm just not making more money. And I took them through this and said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how safe does it feel? And she said, it's a two. I said,
Mm.
bingo. Now you know. Because if you were, so Helena, you were saying you have a young child.
Yes.
If you have a young child and your child is invited to a birthday party, and you look at where the party is, and you said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how safe is it for my kid to go to that party? And if you
Mm.
came up with a two, would you let your kid go to that party? Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
not.
The answer is no, hopefully. Sure, life's hard. And so when we recognize that, and it's something we never think about. Everybody is going, I
Yeah.
want more money, I want more money, but they're never asking, does it
Yeah.
feel safe? Does it feel okay? Do I feel like I
Yeah.
deserve it? So we don't look at those limiting beliefs because part of our mind will say, "Oh, go ahead, create your vision board. You know, you visualize. It's so cute when you do that. We love it. That's all. That's fine. We're going to make sure you don't have it though, because money is the root of all evil and we don't want to be evil or whatever
Mm.
it might be, or you have to work really hard for every dollar you make.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to work that hard, whatever the belief is. So we just have this physical and or emotional response and we start to tap to clear that up. And then we can recognize, oh, there may be some misunderstandings about it. Maybe it isn't that dangerous. And
Yeah.
I could thrive in that way.
Yeah. And there'll be new beliefs at every level. Somebody who just wants to make their first 5K in their own business will have their set of beliefs. And then as they get to that stage, the next 15K, 20K is going to bring up its own set of beliefs. I'm a money mindset coach. And even as you were doing that exercise, I know what my limiting belief is right now to my next level. And it's
Yeah.
around motherhood because that's the
Yeah.
stage of life that I'm in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's funny to look back at beliefs. I remember when I first started in this business and I had a day job to
Mm.
support my family while trying to build this. And I was looking at and I had, because of my role, I knew what the payroll was and what everybody was making. And I was looking at what the associate director was making. And I was like, God, I wouldn't even know what to do with that much money. And now I'm like, I could never survive on that, that
Right.
little money because I have progressed to other levels. But I also know, I remember sitting with I had a friend who was a film producer, and he was saying, when I started making $5 million a year, I didn't know how I ever survived on $1 million a year.
Wow.
So our money mindset changes.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see because we're not aware of these limitations. We sit there and go, no, that's just how it is.
Mm. Mm.
And then we allow ourselves to as we tap because we resist changing our mind about things. When someone says you need to change your mind, we say no, I don't want to change my mind. But if you can't change your mind, you can't change anything else because we're creating our reality. I was just reading I did a video yesterday on one of my favorite George Bernard Shaw quotes, but as I was looking it up online, I found another one of his that says all progress requires change. And the person who cannot change their mind cannot create change.
Mm.
When we are looking at changing our mind about anything, there's a part of us that wants to keep things status quo. And so we have a stress response and we shut out any kind of idea. Someone says, oh, you could do that. Nope. And we shut down with that stress response. So the tapping helps us to calm that down and say, okay, I can stick my feet in the water. I'm not committing to anything, but I'm open to seeing what else might be possible.
Mm.
And then we come into a new area and go, oh no, this is okay. I thought it had to be this way, but no, this is
Mm.
actually okay. And this belief about money being the root of all evil is not true. And
Mm.
you know what? Not all rich people are greedy jerks. And I can afford to pay more taxes because I still have more money.
Mm.
And it's okay if some of that goes to public services.
Mm.
And we get past all of these beliefs about why we couldn't or shouldn't have more money or better health, a healthier body, healthier relationships, whatever it might be. we have these beliefs, and there's a part of us that says, okay, even if this belief that I have is keeping me limited, it's keeping me stuck in this tiny comfort zone, it's safe. I'm safe right here. Even if my life is crap, it's my crap.
And it's
I
safe.
handled it yesterday, so I know I can handle it. I don't know that I could handle new crap.
Yeah. Mm,
And then we tap through it, even though I don't think I can handle it. Oh, you know what? I probably could. I can handle change and I can change my mind.
mm. Which leads me to your journey because you've been sharing and showing up online for what, over 20 years now?
I've been on YouTube for just over 17 years.
Wow. Yeah, I actually found a video that was 17 years old today. Like it's all on there. So you hinted at this, you did have a day job, but I would love to know what that transition was for you. Firstly, how you became so passionate about tapping and what called you to start showing up online in this way.
Yeah, I started as an actor. I was in LA, and
Same.
I had traveled the world doing theater. I had studied in London and traveled the world doing theater. Went to Hollywood to be a movie star, as one does.
Mhm. Yeah.
And while I was there, I met a woman, fell in love, and got married. And when our
Wow.
first child was on the way, I thought I might need a backup career.
Yeah.
So
I'm resonating
yeah,
massively with this
I'm
story.
telling your story. And I saw an ad for hypnotherapy school, and I thought, oh, I've
Mm,
always been interested in the power of the mind. That sounds like a fun side gig where the hours be more flexible.
yeah.
And because that's the tough thing about getting a job as an actor is you need to be free for auditions.
Yeah.
So I started doing that and started building a small practice while still pursuing my acting career. And a couple years later, when our second child was on the way, I thought, as much as I love acting, this is my calling. This is
Mm,
what I'm here to do, is working with people to shift their mindset and create a more empowering life. And so we left Los Angeles, moved to Northern California, and through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about energy psychology and this conference in Las Vegas where this guy was tapping on his face and went took this training and I just fell in love with it. Especially when he had us tapping on chocolate cravings. In a
mm.
matter of minutes, I went from wanting to eat a piece of chocolate at an 8 out of 10 to I could not eat it and
Wow.
didn't eat chocolate for 2 years after that.
Wow.
I
That was part of my
recovered.
training actually to become a practitioner. We all had like chocolate or
Yes.
chips or wine or different things in front of us.
Yep. Yep. Whatever that craving is and being able to tell. So, wow, that's really interesting. So, little
Mm,
by little, started introducing it into my hypnotherapy sessions until little by little they became hypnotherapy. They became tapping sessions with, and I still do some hypnosis at the end of my sessions. But so that was 2000 that I took that workshop and started adding into my sessions and doing private sessions.
mm.
And then in 2000, and then I started putting some recorded tapping sessions online and pioneering that sort of recorded tapping
Yeah.
sessions. And then in 2000, I think YouTube was launched in 2005. I did my first video in 2007, so it was still very new. And I just thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there's a tapping video people could start their day with? And I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I intended to do was that one video. I have a
Wow.
video on YouTube now. Cool. And then
Yeah.
6 months later, I thought, I should probably do a video for people to end their day. And I'll do Tap of the
Mm,
Evening. And now I'm done. And then I had another idea, and now I have 1,500 plus videos on there because just that idea of being able to share this work and make the world a better place. And it's selfish. I have kids. I want the world to be a better place for my kids.
mhm,
And if I can make it easy and accessible for folks to clear the stress so that they create a better lives for themselves, that creates a better world for everybody. So it's, yeah, no, I'm going to keep doing this. And while it's been a great marketing tool in terms of getting known around the world and being able to do workshops in different places, I'm going back to London in a couple of months to do another workshop there. And the videos are never designed to be marketing tools. It's simply, I get a
mm.
download, I get a message from the boss saying, here's something that would be helpful to people. Awesome. I'll put it out there. And
That was going to be my question is how you feel inspired or pick a topic or have listened to your intuition as to what people need because you have such a variety of videos on there.
yeah, and it's funny because I'm in a program where someone's trying to talk about building your YouTube channel and say, well, you need to look at what's working and then recreate that kind of thing. It's like that's
Yeah.
not how I work. I get
Yeah.
downloads. So I have a list of maybe another 1,000 videos that I've had ideas for that I just have written down and have never gotten around to. And I this week I've been shooting some more videos and it's okay, let me go look at the list, but then I'll have an inspiration for something I never thought of before. No, this is what it has to be. So I
Mm,
just trust my gut on that. All right, this is, sometimes I'll look at an old one and go, yeah, that feels right. And maybe it's something totally new that just comes to mind in that moment. It's like, I'm not going to argue. That's how I do my workshops is
mm.
I just show up and use me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, bring to me what will be helpful to folks.
I love that you said that it was never meant to be a marketing tool because I think that is why so many people resonate with your videos is because it hasn't got the sense that it's showy or that it's anything but pure. And it's honestly really inspiring, even for me. It reminds me just show up because there's no gimmicks, there's no fancy editing. And in today's world, that is really off-putting for so many people who do want to show up because they're comparing themselves to very well edited videos with great lighting and great special effects and think that's what they have to do to compete. And in reality, yours are just you sitting in front of the laptop
Yeah.
tapping.
Yeah. Or standing and we were just in New York. I was doing a workshop in New York and I shot a couple of videos. I shot one out by the Statue of Liberty and in different places, just wherever it feels like this would be a good place for it. I,
Mm.
to your point, I shot a video yesterday. I think it's about gaslighting or something like that. I don't know, but somewhere in the middle of the tapping round, I sometimes the ideas are coming through faster than my mouth moves. So I
Mm.
stumbled over some words. It's like that. And I thought, and I went back and said, can I edit that out? It's no, it's just real. And I'm just going to leave it there. And there may be people who say, wow, that's not very professional. No, but it's human. And I'm
Yeah.
here for humans. And that's the thing. When I do live workshops, there have been times where I'm stumbling over a word and I'll stop and say, I'm just doing this for those of you who want to be professional speakers and think you have to be perfect. So you're welcome.
I love that. So, as you began to grow, you must have started realizing as you were putting these up on YouTube, wow, people are really watching these. My YouTube channel is growing. What were some of the beliefs that started to come up for you? Because that's vulnerable. And so many people can relate to this feeling of actually, is it safe for me to be seen? Is it safe for me to grow? Is it safe for me to start earning money doing this?
Yeah, and just was chatting with someone in a group session the other day about, and it's a very common thing, this fear of being seen.
Yeah.
As actors, that's something that we kind of part and parcel of our background is that's the job. So I think that's one of the places where I had a benefit in terms of going into YouTube because that had already been part of my makeup. And being
Yeah.
on camera was just because that's really freaks out a lot of people is getting on video for the first time. It's yeah, been there, done that. That's what I've been doing for
Mhm.
some time. So but there were definitely stages like putting ads on YouTube to make a living off of that. And I resisted that for a long time. Some people say, "Oh, you've got ads in there, you're making money." I didn't for the first 10 years until I got
Wow.
to a point where I tapped on the belief, oh, no, this should just be totally generous and totally altruistic, and I shouldn't make any money. And okay, wait a minute. People are still able to watch for free. They may have to sit through 5 seconds of a video. Why shouldn't I be able to benefit from that when I'm not blocking anyone from doing it? It doesn't cost them any money. So just working through beliefs about that and why I'd had this idea of that would be wrong.
Mm.
And so that opened things up. And yeah, there are different stages as you go along. I was aware of the numbers going up. It wasn't as I was getting close to 100,000 subscribers. I didn't even know that YouTube had plaques. And it was my daughter told me, she goes, "But at 100,000 subscribers, you get a plaque." It's like, oh. And so I'd actually consciously had set an intention of, oh, I would like to have this grow at that point.
So what were some of those money mindset beliefs then? If it was 10 years before it started to become a business, a profession for you. So now looking back, because I think so many people will really relate to this, what
Yeah.
were some of those money mindset beliefs you realized, oh, it's time for me to tap on this. It's time for me to shift this.
Yeah. So as I said, the one thing of I shouldn't be making money on this public service,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
it should just be a pure donation without any financial benefit for me. And so that took some had to clear some beliefs about that in terms of my income and what I charge for private sessions. And there's definitely has gone up and up because there's this thing. I provide a service to people who are in challenging situations, and it
Mm.
should just always be make it as cheap as possible. And I had someone once after I'd gotten some coaching on this, and I did a lot of tapping for myself in terms of so it's okay. Someone on YouTube wrote to me once and said, oh, I saw what you're charging. So, yeah, I'm just going to go on and make videos and then I'm going to charge and I'll charge less and I'll make it more available. And I wanted to say, you spend 20 years becoming one of the leaders in your field. You give away, make free resources, an abundant amount of free, over 1,000 videos freely available. And you might say, you know what? I am going to value my time for private
Mm.
sessions. You might
Mhm.
think differently at that point.
Yeah.
And recognizing that someone had written once and said, I you need to charge less because people like me can't afford that. And I said, I didn't write bad experience. I didn't want to shame them for their feeling, but she was saying, I'm at the poverty level, but I was a massage therapist and no one went away empty-handed because they couldn't afford a session. And I wanted to write back and say, and how did that business model work?
Mm.
And are you encouraging me to do the same thing so that I can be at the poverty level?
Yeah.
And that doesn't benefit anybody because
Yeah.
by allowing myself to have a good income, and this is everyone for you as well, I'm
Hmm.
in a position to do a lot more good.
Absolutely.
And without it being, it removes a lot of the blocks to being able to make a positive difference in the world.
Yeah.
So I can make YouTube videos freely available, but I also want to be able to travel to do workshops in different places. And because there's something powerful about a live workshop that I want as many people to experience as possible. And if I'm sitting there thinking, I just can't afford to travel to this place, I can't, if I don't know that I can, just because I've done workshops where I didn't make back what it cost me to be there, but it's okay because I'm
Yeah.
not dependent upon that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't possibly, and this is true for all of us. I cannot charge a small enough amount that everybody could. So this person who was saying you need to charge less, okay, what could you afford? I,
Yeah.
I could afford $10 for a session. All
Yeah.
right, there's someone out there who can't afford $10. So how
Yeah.
much, if I have to make it available for everyone's price level, I'd have to charge nothing,
Yeah.
and then I would be homeless.
And then you'd have nothing to give.
Yeah.
And because if you're struggling to make ends meet, this is for everybody. If you're struggling to make ends meet, I've always come back to this saying I heard, if you can't turn your own lights on, how are you going to light up the world?
If you can't put a deposit in your own bank account, how do you write a check to charity?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are the goose that lays the golden eggs. You got to take good care of that goose.
Yeah.
Put the
Yeah.
oxygen mask on your own face first. There's a million cliches about it, but it all comes back to the truth that in order to be there for other people, you need to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, you want to do it in an ethical way, but I say that as though it's obvious. When obviously we see out there are plenty of people who say, that's not obvious to me at all. I am totally in favor of making money in unethical ways. I'm not in favor of that. And my belief is that through tapping, we get more clear about who we are and what we want to do. And we naturally show up in an authentic and ethical way
Yeah.
and can still be open to financial abundance.
Yeah. For somebody who really wants to start showing up more, who know that they have something to share but has been holding themselves back. Maybe they don't even know why they've been holding themselves back, but they've just been procrastinating. We've all been there. What would be your biggest piece of advice for them? Tapping, probably.
What? Yeah. Helena, how did you figure that out? Man. Um, uh, yeah, not to be a one-trick pony, but it always comes down to this stress response that stops us.
Yeah.
It's that resistance. And tapping is the simplest, easiest way that I know to deal with that resistance and to be able to look at. So I want to show up bigger. How could I do that? And I may say, I could start a YouTube channel. Oh, I don't want to be on video. Okay,
Mm.
start tapping on what are you afraid of?
Mm.
That's one of the biggest questions is what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And then bring that up. And you may be consciously aware of, I'm afraid that people will, I'll get haters.
Yeah.
Great. I have a video for that. Go watch that video because you're going to get haters, most likely. I was talking to someone the other day about this and their fear of showing up bigger because the more people who know about me, the more criticism I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And I said, here's the funny thing is, as we get more, because we create our reality, and the more clear I get about who I am and what I offer, the less likely that criticism shows up. And I'll
Mm.
occasionally get a YouTube comment where someone's, this is stupid or whatever. But it is no more frequent now than it was back when I had 100 subscribers. It's even though I have so many more subscribers at this point, I'm not, and I'm getting more views, I'm not getting more. In fact, I get less criticism now. It just doesn't show up that much.
Wow. That's really
So,
fascinating.
yeah, because we create our realities. And when it shows up, it's only hurtful to the extent that it pushes a button. And we can say, oh, that's interesting that I have that button. Because if I, that fear of judgment, and I invite folks, go ahead and be, so right here where your collarbones come together, there's a little bit of U-shape at the base of your throat. And you can use your fingertips or make a fist and tap right there. Just be clear and stress as I talk about this. You cannot escape judgment. It's if you're going to be here, if you put yourself out there, people will judge you. If you hold yourself back, if you hide in your room, there are people who are going to know about you and they're going to judge you. Your family is going to know that you're holding yourself back and they're going to judge you for that. Someone is aware of your existence and will judge you for not showing up. You're going to be judged no matter what. So we just have to get over it and say, okay, if I'm going to be judged anyway, what's a life that I really want to live? How can
Mm.
I be of service? How can I kick ass in this world and make the difference that only I can make and have a lot of fun doing it?
Yeah.
What do I want my life to look like? Because people are going to judge me whether I'm doing it right or doing it wrong. And we just have to let that go. And their judgment only hurts to the extent that it's a button we have. If someone says to me, "You're a money grubber," it's only to the extent that I go, "Yeah, boy, I am," that it's going to hurt. I know I'm not. You're misinterpreting something about what I'm up to. It's a misunderstanding. You're projecting, whatever it might be. Godspeed. I hope that whatever is causing you this discomfort, you can move through it, and I hope tapping might help with it. But it's not pushing a button for me because I don't believe that about myself. If I say to you, "You're a purple Dinglehoff," it's not going to bother you too much, most likely, because I don't have that thought about myself. Okay, whatever. Maybe that's a compliment. I don't know. So if someone says something to us and it pushes a button, it's, oh, I that's probably something I want to tap to clear because if my being dependent upon 8 billion other people never saying something uncomfortable to me, I'm screwed. We it's not what happens, it's our thoughts about what happens. And
Yeah.
so if I can change my mind about that and go, okay, if people are going to say things like this, if I'm walking around being offended by things, I, my being is dependent upon other people behaving the way I think they should. And I can't get 8 billion people to do what I want. I'm
Yeah.
trying. That's why I have the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 8 billion people to think like I think in a more loving, peaceful way.
Mm.
But I'm not going to wait to feel good in life until everybody's stepping in line with that kind of positive mentality.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I think I needed to hear that. So, whatever you were channeling there was a message that really resonated. One of my final questions, I think this is on a selfish reason because I have a little girl. And a lot of the listeners probably have children too. I think tapping is such a brilliant resource for kids and for children, and especially in today's age where they are being bombarded with different
Yeah.
things that really are affecting them with anxiety and nervousness and depression in very young people. How could we start if someone wants to share this with their child? Maybe they're young. How could we start showing our children how to use tapping? I know you're a father, so I'm just curious how you've done that with your own kids.
Yeah, no, excellent question, Helena. Based on that, it's why I wrote a children's book called The Wizard's Wish. And if you go to thewizardswish.com, you can actually just read it online.
Mhm.
It's the only printed thing. Everything I do is electronic, but
Okay.
I do have printed books because with my kids, I loved reading to them as when they were little kids. So it's like having a storybook that you could hold and read, introducing tapping, and have heard wonderful stories from people about them reading it to their children and the difference, the positive difference that it's made. And then I have a series of videos that I shot with my daughter when she was 9. And then we shot some more. 10 years later, she came home from college one summer and said, I think we should do some for young adults now. And we shot a few more so that if you want to show it to kids and it's more relatable for them to see a child tapping along. Uh, it's so many, a lot of people will tap along to my videos while their kids are there. Someone
Mm.
sent a video once where their 2-year-old was walking into the room and just heard me on the video on their computer and couldn't even see it, but they just heard my voice. And this little child just started tapping.
Oh,
Excellent. Because so many of the things that stop us are from issues that happened in our childhood.
yeah.
And misunderstandings that it's like in the third grade, your friend takes away your toy, your favorite toy, and you think, I just can't have nice things and people aren't nice to me.
Mm.
And we develop this belief that limits us for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And if we could have tapped in that moment, and go, I was a misunderstanding. That person was having a bad day or whatever. It doesn't mean anything bad about me. And we can let that go and say, okay. And now so many opportunities are there for us as we go through life. We have so much greater emotional freedom to
Mm.
make better choices and live a more awesome life. So, there's so many people who are not sharing their genius with the world because of some misunderstanding from an event that happened in childhood.
So true. So true. Yeah. Yeah. And so would you just start tapping in front of your child?
Yeah.
My daughter does anything I say or do. So I
Yeah.
guess just modeling it.
Yeah. And you can simplify it. And in EFT, when we say on a scale of 0 to 10, how upset do you feel? And it's a little esoteric for a child. So you can say, this uncomfortable feeling, the sadness, is it like this or is it like this? So we
Mm.
can use that as a way of judging it. You simplify the language.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, even though I'm upset, I choose to love and accept myself, we might say, even though I'm upset, I'm still a great kid. And just coming up with wording that works for them. But
Yeah.
even just showing them the tapping points, and when they're having an upset feeling, and showing them that this is a way to process the emotions. It's not a matter of getting rid of emotions. It's a way of processing it. There are no negative emotions. There are uncomfortable emotions, but every emotion has a purpose. And so it's a
Mm.
matter of being able to process that and go, okay, what's the message that this is giving me? Anger is like a smoke detector. It's the alarm goes off to let you know there's a fire or the battery needs to be changed. It may be a misunderstanding, but if I just ignore it, if I cover my ears, that doesn't help. So I want to be able to process it and go, okay, what's the message here? What do I need to look at? Is there a problem that needs to be fixed or is it just a misunderstanding? And then I can move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And on a side note, we can also surrogate tap on our
Yes,
loved
we
ones.
can.
I know that my mom used to tap on the dogs.
Lots of people do that.
They would have when they were my dog used to deal with anxiety whenever there were loud noises. And my mom would just tap on the dog and calm
Yeah.
him down. So yeah, we
Yeah.
can tap on our little ones as well.
Everything is energy. So
Yeah.
everything is connected. And that's what I always tell parents when I have a manual that I'd written for someone on tapping for kids. And I say to parents, okay, step one, tap on yourself.
Yeah.
Because if she, then my child's upset and that's upsetting me and I need them to feel better so that I can feel better. It's
Yeah.
like, don't put that kind of pressure on your child that you need them to regulate their emotions so that your emotions can be regulated.
Right.
So it's allowing yourself to get clear so that you can really, so when you tap with your child, you're doing it for their best interest, as opposed to mommy or daddy needs to feel better, and so you need to
Mm,
calm down or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Your child's emotions will be as regulated as you allow your own to be because they're modeling you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Brad, it has been an absolute joy and pleasure, even more than I imagined it would be speaking to you. I have taken in what I think I needed to hear, and I'm ready to take more action in my life and business as a result of it. So thank you so much. Before we say goodbye, though, obviously YouTube, but where can people connect with you, tap with you, learn from you? Where would be the best places to send them?
yeah. Thank you. Easiest way is to go to my website, tapwithbrad.com. There's a couple of free 5-day programs. One is called Success Beyond Belief, and the other one is called Tap into Your Best Self. So you can go ahead and get those for free. And just taking you through a series of videos designed to help you clear what might be stopping you from having greater success, having a greater life. And then on my website, you'll see all kinds of resources to my videos on YouTube, to live events that I'm doing, to programs, things like that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and for just continuously showing up over the years with that pure energy and support that you share online. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to everyone who's watching and allowing yourself to be freer to do the good you can do.
Yeah.